Real English Lounge.
The art of everyday English.
Welcome back to Real English Lounge, your real place to learn English through honest conversations.
I'm Ethan.
And I'm Claire, and today we're talking about goals, but not in the way you might expect.
Not the big, ambitious, life-changing kind that you write down in January and forget by February.
The small kind, the ones that actually get done.
Big goals are exciting. Small ones get done.
And today we're going to make the case for small, explain why it works, and give you the English vocabulary to talk about your own goals clearly. Subscribe on YouTube if this podcast is helping your English.
Comment challenge. Tell us one small goal you're working on right now, or one you completed recently. One sentence in English in the comments.
Level check. B1 to B2. English for setting goals, describing progress, and talking about what you're trying to do without sounding either overambitious or vague.
Word tour today. Attainable, momentum, incremental, setback, milestone, and compound. 6 words for the language of goals and progress. Let's start with the problem with big goals.
The excitement problem.
Exactly. A big goal feels good to set. I'm gonna write a book. I'm gonna get fit. I'm gonna learn a language.
Each of those is exciting in the imagination.
And then life begins, and the goal is very large. And the distance between where you are and where you want to be is enormous. And so you don't start, because where would you even start?
Or you start enthusiastically, hit a difficulty after 2 or 3 weeks, feel like you failed, and quietly stop.
The quiet stop is the most common ending for a big goal.
Because big goals have high expectations built in. If I'm going to write a book, then anything that doesn't look like writing a book, including one paragraph, feels like it doesn't count.
Whereas if your goal is to write 1 paragraph today, you can write 1 paragraph today.
And it counts. And that counting is the whole thing.
There's a research concept called the planning fallacy. The idea that people consistently underestimate how long things take and overestimate how much they can do in a given period.
And it applies almost universally, not just to individual people, but to companies, governments, large projects.
The optimism at the start of a project is usually not matched by the reality in the middle.
Which is why goals that feel ambitious are often actually just goals that don't account for the middle.
The middle where it gets hard or boring or slower than expected.
Small goals build in the middle from the start. If your goal is 1 paragraph today, the middle is already included in the goal.
There's no middle to be surprised by.
Right, you planned for exactly what happened. Let me give you a real example from my own experience.
Please.
I wanted to get back into running. My first attempt at this 2 years ago was I'm going to run 3 times a week. Very reasonable goal.
What happened?
The first week was fine. The second week was okay. Third week, I missed a session. Fourth week, I missed 2. By week 5, I had stopped entirely and was avoiding thinking about it.
The classic pattern.
The second attempt, I changed the goal. Not 3 times a week. Just run once. That's it. Just once. This week, run once.
And?
I ran. And the following week, I ran again. And then it was twice. And then 3 times. But I never set those as goals. They just emerged from consistently doing the minimum.
The minimum created the maximum.
That's exactly how it felt. The minimum was achievable, so I kept achieving it. And the momentum of achieving built the habit that eventually produced what I originally wanted.
So the outcome was the same, running 3 times a week, but the path was completely different.
The path was sustainable the second time. The first time, it wasn't.
What makes a small goal actually work? Because I don't think it's just about being small.
No, size is part of it, but there are other qualities.
What are they?
Specific, not read more, but read for 10 minutes before bed. The specificity removes the decision about when and how.
Connected to something you already do, building on an existing trigger, the way we discussed in EP 16.
Measurable, so you know definitively whether you did it or not. Read 10 minutes, done or not done. Read more, almost never definitively done.
And honest. The goal has to fit your actual life, not the life you wish you had.
That last one is the hardest. Setting goals based on your aspirational self rather than your real self is the most common reason goals fail.
Aspirational self wakes up early, eats well, exercises daily, and reads for an hour every evening.
Real self is tired by 8 p.m. and sometimes eats cereal for dinner.
And the goal has to work for the real self, because aspirational self is a fiction.
A useful fiction sometimes, but for goal setting, it's dangerous.
Let's talk about what to do when a small goal isn't going well, because even small goals can stall.
The most common reason a small goal stalls is that it got attached to a result too quickly.
What do you mean?
You set the goal, run 1 once a week. You do it for 3 weeks. You expect to feel fitter. You don't feel noticeably different, so the goal starts to feel pointless.
The problem is the timeline expectation.
Exactly. 3 weeks of one run per week is not going to produce a visible physical change. It will produce a habit, and habits are less visible than results.
So you have to trust the process for longer than feels comfortable.
Which is genuinely difficult, especially when there's no visible progress to point to.
One thing that helps is tracking the behavior rather than the outcome. Not am I fitter, but did I run this week?
Behavior tracking keeps the goal in your control. You can control whether you run. You cannot fully control how quickly your fitness improves.
So measure what you can control.
And separate what you want from what you're doing to get there. You want to be fit. You're running once a week. The want is the destination. The running is the current action. Don't confuse the two.
There's also a version of small goals that's about how you talk to yourself when something doesn't go as planned.
The language of setbacks.
Right. What do you say to yourself or to someone else when a goal hits a difficult week?
The unhelpful version, I've completely fallen off. I've been terrible. I've ruined it.
All of those turn one missed week into a collapse.
The more helpful version, I had a difficult week and I missed a few sessions. I'll pick it up again.
Or I need to adjust the goal to fit what's actually happening in my life right now.
Adjusting a goal is not failure. It's information. The goal told you something about what was realistic, and you're updating it based on evidence.
That reframe is genuinely useful. Most people treat adjusting a goal as admitting defeat.
When it's actually the most intelligent thing you can do. A goal that fits your life will be completed. A goal that doesn't fit will be abandoned and then quietly blamed on your lack of discipline.
And it's usually not discipline, it's design.
A bad design wearing a discipline label.
What about the relationship between small goals and big ambitions? Because I don't want to give the impression that big ambitions are wrong.
They're not wrong at all. The big ambition is the direction. The small goal is the step.
So you need both.
You need to know where you're going, the big picture, and you need to know what you're doing today. The small goal is what bridges the two.
Without the small goal, the big ambition stays at a distance forever.
And without the big ambition, the small goal has no meaning. Why am I running once a week? Because I want to be someone who moves their body and is physically capable and has energy. That's the big picture.
The run is evidence toward the big picture.
Each time you do it, you're voting for who you want to become.
We talked about this in EP 16, Habits as Votes. Small goals work the same way.
The vote is the whole point, not the outcome today. The accumulation of votes over time.
Time for the word tour. 6 words from today's conversation.
Let's begin with a word for a goal that's actually within reach.
Attainable.
Attainable means achievable, within your actual capability given your real circumstances. An attainable goal isn't easy, but it's genuinely possible without requiring perfect conditions.
You can say she set an attainable goal, not the most ambitious version, but one she could honestly reach. Or the difference between a good goal and a failed one is often whether it was attainable in the first place.
Attainable is like a shelf you can reach by standing on your toes. Not effortless, but possible without a ladder.
Let's repeat it. Attainable.
Attainable. Our next word is about the energy that builds when things are moving.
Momentum.
Momentum is the force that keeps something moving once it has started. In goals, momentum comes from small wins. Each completed action makes the next one slightly easier.
You can say, the first 2 weeks were hard, but then she built momentum and it started to feel natural. Or losing momentum is much easier than building it, which is why skipping 2 days is more dangerous than skipping 1.
Momentum is like a snowball rolling downhill. It starts small and slow, but each rotation adds to itself.
Let's repeat it. Momentum.
Momentum.
This next word is about change that happens in small stages.
Incremental.
Incremental means happening gradually, in small steps. Incremental progress is the kind that's hard to see day to day, but becomes significant over weeks and months.
You can say, the improvement was incremental. Nothing dramatic, just slightly better each week. Or, incremental changes tend to stick more reliably than sudden transformations.
Incremental is like the minute hand on a clock. You cannot see it move, but check again in an hour and it has traveled a significant distance.
Let's repeat it. Incremental.
Incremental.
Here's a word for when something goes wrong along the way.
Setback.
A setback is something that slows your progress or makes it harder. An obstacle, a difficult week, an illness, an unexpected change in circumstances. A setback is not a failure. It's a temporary complication.
You can say, he hit a setback in the 3rd week, but adjusted his approach and kept going. Or, setbacks are part of any goal worth pursuing. The question is whether whether you treat them as information or as verdict.
A setback is like a pothole on a road. It slows you down, but it doesn't mean the road is wrong.
Let's repeat it. Setback.
Setback.
This next word is about a small point of real progress worth recognizing.
Milestone.
A milestone is a significant point in progress, a marker that shows you've come a certain distance. Milestones make the journey visible and give you something concrete to feel good about.
You can say finishing the first chapter was a milestone, proof that the project was actually moving. Or celebrate the milestones, not just the final destination.
A milestone is like a signpost on a long journey. It doesn't mean you've arrived, but it confirms you're going in the right direction.
Let's repeat it. Milestone.
Milestone.
Our last word is perhaps the most important one in the whole episode.
Compound.
To compound means to increase by building on what's already there. Compound progress is what happens when small, consistent actions accumulate into something much larger than they appeared individually.
You can say the daily habit compounded over a year into a skill she hadn't expected to have. Or 10 minutes a day compounds into 60 hours in a year, which is enough to learn almost anything.
Compounding is like interest in a savings account. Small and barely visible at first, then suddenly significant, then remarkable.
Let's repeat it. Compound.
Compound, that's the word tour. Attainable, momentum, incremental, setback, milestone, compound.
6 words for the language of goals that actually get done. Let's close. Big goals are exciting. Small ones get done.
The minimum creates the maximum, not because the minimum is enough, but because it's the starting point that actually starts.
Design the goal for your real self, not your aspirational self. Measure the behavior, not the outcome. Trust the compounding.
And if something stalls, adjust. Don't abandon. Adjusting is intelligent. Abandoning is just the easier option.
So tell us in the comments, one small goal, current or recently completed, in English.
Subscribe, give it a like, and share it with someone who set a big goal in January and has quietly stopped thinking about it.
This is Ethan.
And this is Claire.
And you've been listening to Real English Lounge.
Big goals are exciting. Small ones get done. See you next time.
Your English journey doesn't end here.
Keep listening, keep learning, and keep speaking.
Choose your next conversation.
We'll see you in the next episode of Real English Lounge.